Looking for reliable and convenient personal safety products? Less Lethal has you covered. As Canada's only authorized Byrna distributor, we provide a range of products for recreation, protection, and security. Explore our Byrna launcher lineup, including the LE, SD, TCR, and Mission 4, designed for different levels of performance and protection needs. We also offer the Banshee personal safety alarm, designed to protect children, women, and vulnerable individuals. Because your safety is our top priority. Shop now at lesslethal.ca.
The East Coast tour continues. We got Ian White from Evis Air flight training. So nice to see you, Ian. And of course, Terry's back. Terry Hart. We just did a session, which is great to see. And you know, I was lucky enough. I came in this morning, met a friend of mine, Blair, and he said, you got to do a session with Terry. So I did a great podcast with Terry. And when we were finishing up, he says, we got a guy. He's a water bomber. He has a great company. I want you to meet Ian. So welcome, Ian, and welcome, Terry.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, Ian, tell us, because you know your business right now is top of mind for all of Canada. You know, we're continually hearing about wildfires and about our shortages on bombers and people and training. You know, so you're doing that here.
Yeah. So. My day job, I guess, or as an employee, I work for the Newfoundland government. We fly the CL415 water bomber. My company, Evis Air, is not in that space currently. We do look at some opportunities down the road because, like you said, the business is, the industry or the sector is getting a lot of attention. It's too bad that it only gets the attention when things are on fire, but we're actively investigating and exploring opportunities to get into that space in the future because, fighting wildfires has got to be a whole society approach. It's got to be government. It's got to be, education in the for citizens, and it also needs private sector involvement in order for it to be effective. It is getting a lot of attention. It is an issue across the country, around the world, really.
Yeah.
And I guess climate change is real, and wildfire activity is changing.
Yeah. Well, we just did a show. I think I was telling Terry before the show. We did a show on Friday before I left Toronto, and it was interesting. We think this is an anomaly. So because we're seeing more people impacted, so we're seeing the human impacts of it. But when we dug into the numbers, this is now the average for the last 10 years. Right. So it's this many million hectares been being burnt up in Canada on an annual basis now. And now we're seeing it coming closer to the BC population, as you're telling me. That's the scary part. For years, we just kind of ignored it. There's smoke in the air and it burned in the north, and we just let it kind of go off. And, when the rains came and when the weather changed, it dissipated. But unfortunately, it's actually moving further and further, and now it's impacting people. Terry was telling me you're doing some really cool stuff with training and simulators, and do you want to talk a little bit about kind of that? Because that sounded really neat.
Yeah. I want to go back to your comment about, we think it's an anomaly, though. 1 year may be a blip, but it's not an anomaly. This is now a trend.
Oh, yeah.
The fires are moving into areas that have never had fires before. The fires are going further north into the permafrost. The permafrost is retracting north. Mm-hmm. So when those fires get up and get into the peat mass of the north and release that carbon, it is then an accelerator, right? Mm-hmm. Because these fires release more carbon gas into the atmosphere, which accelerates climate change, etc. So it's not a blip; it's a trend, and we need to remember that this year was warmer than last year. Next year will be warmer than this year. Mm-hmm. You can think of it as this is the warmest season or warmest year we've ever experienced, or you can think of it as if this is the coolest year we will ever experience again.
No, yeah. Well, it's a good way to look at it, right? Yeah. Wow.
And so on the simulation piece, from a wildfire perspective, the CL415, which is, it's pretty well the pinnacle of the firefighting aircraft. Mm-hmm. There's about 100 of them in the world. The CL415. Now there's some 215s, which are piston-powered aircraft of the same general design. But there's about 100 415s in the world. There's one simulator in the world. It's in Milan, Italy. De Havilland has now, I think everybody is pretty well, anyone who's paying attention to the space knows de Havilland has restarted the assembly line and is going to build the 515, which is basically a 415 with some tweaks and mods on the avionics side of things. So, you know, the history was in the 60s, they built 120 or so 215s. In the 90s and early 2000s, they built about 120 415s. Mm-hmm. So now, again, 20 years later, they've started and they're going to build probably 120 or 150 515s. But there's one simulator in the world.
That's it.
One simulator in the world.
So everyone has to go to Italy to train, or that's
if you decide to do full flight simulation, which is the trend again of operators, you have to go to Milan, Italy for that simulator.
Wow.
So, you know, what we've been talking about with various stakeholders is that we think North America needs a simulator.
Yes.
Canada needs a simulator. It's a Canadian aircraft, Canadian design, Canadian built, Canadian manufactured. We should have one in Canada, and I think it should be in Newfoundland.
Yeah, I agree. This is the perfect place, right?
It's the perfect place. We can be a world leader. We can be leading the country and leading North America. The other thing is, I think Canada needs to not only staff up and educate up and equip to meet our demands as a country. We need to be a national and world leader in this space, and we can be, because think about it: when Canada is on fire, everybody else is on fire.
Right. Yeah.
So nobody's coming to help.
No.
However, when we're under snowpack, everybody else is still on fire, so we could go help.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're in a good position as a country, and we're in a we should take it as a responsibility to be the world leader in firefighting, and we are. Yeah. In certain aspects, you know, the aircraft that is the top firefighting aircraft in the world is built here. It's designed here. But I think there's other things we can do in the training space.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. You know, it's interesting. We were looking at, you know, for example, controlled burns on Friday, and I was talking to Terry about it. You know, we've actually decreased our control burns to by almost 100%. It's 98% decrease in control burns in Canada since the 1990s. Right. We're not active, right? We just, for some reason, we said, okay, we don't need to be active in this. And I don't know why, because, you know, we do this drive. So when we leave, Ontario and we drive here, you know, you're all you're seeing is woods and forests and land, and that's all you're, you know.
Forest management is definitely, and control burns is part of forest management, I believe. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to profess to be an expert in forest management, but there are a lot of other things we can do to prevent fires and mitigate damage. But we can't just focus on mitigation. We got to equip ourselves to fight the fires. But I think you're right. What you're hinting at there is we need to put more emphasis on education and prevention, as well as fighting the fires that will inevitably occur. And there's lots of things we can do. We can train up our Indigenous peoples as real trained firefighters, not volunteers, but you know, we could have a reserve force of Indigenous peoples across the country and across the north, and have them ready on the ready to go to fight fires when they do occur, or deploy out of country, across provincial lines. Yeah. Because we need to remember, when a fire breaks out, yes, it's getting a lot of attention now because it's happening in residential, more, I'm not going to say urban areas, but you know, the Halifax fire of 2023 is pretty urban. You know, Tintallon, you're dropping on homes that are ablaze. That is what's really bringing the attention. But these fires have been displacing Aboriginal communities for as long as we can remember, as long as there was forest fires. Yeah.
Hey, you know, and you probably get this question a million times, but I'm going to ask it again. What is it like to be a fire bomber? Because quite frankly, it must be quite a rush, right? Because you're basically you're flying into that fire. Yeah. And you're fully loaded, right? So you're fully, how many gallons are you taking into that?
You're carrying in 14,000 pounds of excess weight.
Right.
And then releasing it on your target And some fires are very calm and mild, and they're just a lot of honestly, they're a lot of fun sometimes.
Yeah.
But occasionally, those fires, you're talking extreme heat. They create their own weather. They definitely create their own turbulence. That you're 100 or 50 or 100 feet off the trees, so you're getting all of the ground turbulence as well, with the winds and etc. So you really need to be on your toes with the aircraft. You need to preserve the energy of the aircraft so that your maneuverability is not hindered. And yeah, it can get a little rough sometimes, but it's exciting.
Yeah,
it is exciting.
What do you lose, like when you're a fit guy? So when you're up, do you lose do you sweat it out? Like when you come down, like are you 5 pounds lighter?
Well, we do have some air conditioning in these airplanes now, but absolutely, when you're fighting a fire and it's the ambient temperature outside is 30 degrees, the airplane is probably 40 degrees.
Yeah,
and it can be a workout sometimes.
New people. So say I'm a young guy or a gal and I want to get into this. How do I get into it? If I know Terry, how do I sort of start? Do you just, where do I go?
So you go get a pilot's license. You try to get some seaplane, some float experience. It's very hard to get these days. There aren't as many float plane opportunities out there. But you try to get orientated towards, we've found that the best people that are acclimatized to water bombing are more bush type operations or rural type operations. When we fly these airplanes, we're pretty much on our own from a pilot's perspective. You're not flying from airport to airport. You're not flying from prepared runway to prepared runway. Every lake we inspect, it's 100% on the crew, the pilot and the co-pilot, to assess the lake, decide if it's long enough, deep enough, if the winds are in the right direction and the right speed. You don't have those safeguards behind you.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with air traffic control. You're on your own. You're outside radar coverage most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more pilot decision making than, or I'm not going to say more pilot decision. It's different pilot decision making than you would experience in the airline world.
Yeah.
We've hired people in the past that came with a lot of airline experience, and it doesn't always translate to water bombing experience.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Just interject, Paul, Ian's father, Pat, was also a water bomber pilot, and extensive flying Newfoundland, Labrador coast for many, many years, and quite a lot of experience as well.
Yeah.
So it's a family thing.
It's a family affair.
And in Newfoundland,
that's good.
In Newfoundland, that's been a bit of a history as well. The generation that I'm flying with now, 3 or 4 of my coworkers, their fathers did the same thing. And they're really good water bomber pilots as well. So, maybe it's just it's definitely not hereditary, but we grew up in that world, so we understand the expectations and what we're getting into.
Well, and to your point, it's a skill, right? By what you're telling me, it's a skill that you have to develop over a long period of time, and even understanding where you are. Like where you are, which lake you're going into. I never even knew that, right? I never even thought about it. I just thought naturally that had been all, from a layman's perspective,
right.
I thought that had been scoped out for you. You've been told where to go. No, you're intuitively figuring that out. And there's just 2 of you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 2 people.
So you pick up 14,000 pounds of water, 2 of you figure it out, you go in there and get it, and then wow.
And you think about it, an airline pilot, a typical day in an airline world, you may do, let's stretch it, let's say 6 takeoffs and landings.
Yeah.
Right? Well, when we're out on a fire, we could do 120.
Yeah, because you're in out. Yeah.
We'll do 120 takeoffs and landings in a day.
Wow.
Wow, that's right.
The workload is different.
What's the hairiest landing story? I need it before I want to.
My God, I don't know.
No.
we
Well, if you're doing 120, see, it's funny because I just moved I mentioned I'm from Toronto.
Yeah.
I just moved on Lake Ontario.
yeah.
And I got to tell you, I think the wildest thing we figured out is
I've walked away from every one of them. Let's put it that way.
yeah. I think the wildest thing we learned was how aggressive that lake is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, you know, like we don't, you guys live on the Atlantic, so you get it. But, you know, we moved even on Lake Ontario, and I was like, wow, I grew up on Lake Ontario, like living in Toronto, but I never realized how aggressive all year long that lake. Like, lakes are, you know,
Yeah.
they're a
They
challenge.
are, and we scoop in the ocean here sometimes. It can get pretty rough.
Yeah.
But, you know, you always protect your aircraft and your crew. We've had to abort, you can always abort a landing if something doesn't feel right, hopefully.
Yeah.
But we've had to abort landings because of whales, right? Don't hit a whale.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of pilots even waterbound pilots around the world don't have to contend with.
Yeah.
They don't have to contend with whales. I'm contend with icebergs.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can usually see icebergs unless they're the little bergy bits. So, you know, you do your good inspection. You know, sometimes the wind can get up to 40 knots.
Yeah.
And in a wind like that, usually you have to pick a smaller lake, which is, you know, you wouldn't think you'd go to a smaller lake, but on a smaller lake, the waves will be lower and you can actually get the water. Because if you're on a big lake and the waves are too high, you can't let the aircraft settle completely into the waves. It's just too rough. So then you're just skimming the waves and you're getting like 200 pounds, 200 pounds, 200 pounds. And it'll take you forever to get a load of water.
Right.
So sometimes with a heavy wind like that, you have to go to a smaller lake.
I couldn't, you know, one of the things I couldn't believe, you know, the first, again, we just moved down here, but literally the number of trees that washed up, the amount of debris, and I'm talking 500-pound trees floating up on my beach from this lake, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So that's something you have to contest with all the time.
Certainly.
You're watching for debris, trees, everything floating around that lake. You're kind of avoiding as your
the lake,
whales.
You know, we can go out and you can scoop in a lake today, and it's perfectly safe. That doesn't mean you can go here tomorrow and blind and just go straight back into where you were. You still have to look because, like you said, you know, someone could fell a tree into the lake and it could float, or the lake level could change and pick up debris on the shore, and it can drift into your path. You know, levels of lakes can change by several feet, and a rock that wasn't a threat yesterday could be a threat next week.
Yeah.
And the winds change, of course, so your run, you know, you always have to pick up, scoop into the wind. So that lake with the wind is good today, but it's no good tomorrow because the wind is a different direction.
Yeah, I noticed winds and tides.
another aspect too of tying into it, to the conversation, is that Ian also owns and family of the Gander flight training, and they bring people from all over the world training pilots in Gander, and from Indonesia. Well, Ian can answer better than me.
Yeah. So from Gander Flight Training's perspective, we train, we have contracts with schools and universities in Thailand. We train a lot of people from India. We're looking at markets now in Vietnam and those sorts of things. But we also train domestically, of course.
How long is your training? Like, when if I said, Ian, you know, I'm interested. I'm not a little old, but I'd love to try. How long do I have to come and spend with you to?
The course it's mostly self-paced.
Okay.
We tell students when you're coming in, if you're doing a commercial orientated program, then pretty well bank on 2 years. That's a comfortable time frame when we can bring you in with no experience, put you at the door, ready to go to work.
Okay.
We do some programs that are very accelerated for private pilots. Like we do the Air Cadet contract for Department of Defense.
Oh, nice.
We've been doing it since 1992. Those kids get a little bit of prep before they arrive, and then they go into a highly focused, fast-paced program where they do their private pilot license in 6 weeks.
Wow.
But again, they're
right into it.
Semi-military.
Yeah.
So they're get a pilot's license in the summer season and go home again.
Oh.
So you can do a pilot's license in about 6 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you for taking the time. I know we caught you coming through the Jag Hotel. You never know who you're going to meet. We met, of course, Terry, which we had a great talk with. And Ian, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
And thank you for everything you're doing. And Terry, same. Thank you,
My
brother.
pleasure. Thank you.
All the best.